The way China will respond is when we get...
I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
Well, folks, eliminate one. I'm also the only guy. My long friend, Tom. The pandemic hit. Those poor people. I'm beginning to...
We hold these truths to be... Donald Trump thinks we choose unity over division.
President Trump, avoid having... We need to work sacks, but we lead by strengthening. We have this notion demanding that we provide efficient de-escalation. The way China will respond is when we gather the rest of the world that, in fact, believes in open trade and making sure that we're in a position that the world that we deal with WHO.
So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth, $1.4 trillion worth, out of $1.4 trillion. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned, and the number of clips in a gun banned. My long friend, time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life. The pandemic is that the president has no intercourse whatsoever with the rest of the world on dealing with these things. And those poor people who have lost, anyway. I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
President Trump and the demagogues around the world avoid to have an excuse to walk by the dealer and say, no, I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom. We need to work again with Canada and Mexico as neighbors, not as adversaries. Saks or Benettons or Nike or whatever in the market in their places where the malls. But we lead by the example of our power, not just the power, not just the example of our power, but the example. We're out there, and it's what we say. By strengthening. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Demanding that HIV/AIDS be designated, destigmatized and treated.
We provide efficiency for appliances. That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2 billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air. De-escalation studies have there have been de-escalation studies. The way China will respond is when we gather the rest of the world.
So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned. My long friend, time friend. The pandemic is that the president has those poor people who have... I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. We choose unity over division.
President Trump, avoid to have an excuse to walk. We need to work again with Saks or Benetton, but we lead by strengthening. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor,
demanding that HIV/AIDS,
we provide efficiency for de-escalation statute. The way China will respond is when we gather.
So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned, and the number of clips in a gun. My long friend, the pandemic is that the poor people who have... I'm beginning to see why...
We hold these truths to be self-evident. Donald Trump thinks we choose unity over division.
President Trump, avoid. We need to work sacks, but we lead by strengthening. We have this notion demanding. We provide efficient de-escalation. The way China will respond is.
I learned about.
Well, folks, I'm also the only guy. My long friend. The pandemic is that. I'm beginning to see.
We hold Donald Trump. We choose unity.
President, avoid. We need to work sacks, but we lead by strengthening. We have this demanding that we provide a de-escalation status. The way Trump. Do I learn about road? Well, folks, I'm also the only guy. My long friend, time for those poor people. I'm beginning. We hold these truths. Donald Trump, we choose. You didn't, President Trump. Avoid. We need to sack, but we lead by strengthening. We have this demanding. We provide a de-escalation. The way China. Do I learn about roads? Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned. My long pandemic is that those poor people who I'm beginning. We hold it. We choose President. Avoid. We need to sack, but we lead by strengthening. We have this demanding that we provide a just de-escalate. Huh?
No. Hey. Hey. Được ahí. ¿Quieres comer carne? ¿Quieres eso?
¿No?
¿Quieres eso?
Después del dos, un colín así.
¿Quieres eso?
Sí. Después, un colín así. Un colín así.
Descarga Sitiano hoy.